What's up, Drop Pod listeners? As always, you can listen to the Drop Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Pods. We are now on Amazon Music, Audible, and Pandora as well. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can also find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This is the Drop Podcast, where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Porro, and this is Ryan Kula.
What's up, everyone? Hope we all had a great week. I'm still excited about last week's episode, Mike. We really had a doozy. If you did not listen, make sure you go back, check it out. Mike played Pine Valley. I went to Ireland. We recapped both trips. It was an awesome episode. We had the general manager of Korn Golf Links on. One of the courses I played over in Ireland. Jerry Maguire was an absolute awesome guest. Really cool, interesting story. If you haven't listened, go back and check that out.
Yeah, Ryan, the feedback that I had gotten from, my trip to Pine Valley and your, overseas adventure to Ireland has been incredible. I mean, people have texted me on the side saying, I could have heard hole by hole of Pine Valley. They could have heard more of your trip to Ireland. So I can't emphasize this enough. If you have not listened to last week's episode, it is one for the ages, as one of our former guests liked to say in one of his famous lines. So go back there, pause this episode, give it a listen. Again, you'll thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, and then come back and listen to this one after you pause it. Today's guest is Cole Eckert. Cole is a former state champion from Chatham, New Jersey. He was the Met Junior Player of the Year in 2021. Plays at a Fairmount Country Club. An absolute stick. He's a plus 5.2 currently.
Not too shabby.
No, can knock it around, as you like to say. He currently is entering his junior year at Richmond. He plays for the Richmond Spiders and their golf team. Mike, we had an awesome interview with him. He was super charismatic. Really fun interview that we had with Cole. So make sure you stick around after the episode for Cole's interview. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do want to preface this a little bit too. Is we were fortunate to sit down and talk to Cole before he went out for the USGA Amateur, the amateur out in Colorado. So we had talked to him a little bit earlier, per se. But I still think a lot of what Cole touched on and talked about, he was such a good interview that he was one of those guys that we probably could have sat there and talked to for a lot longer than we actually did. So I know some of the conversations may seem like, well, that's long gone and it's happened. But still, you'll get a lot of good nuggets, I'd like to say, from Cole in that interview.
Yeah, Mike, how many times have we said that? Like, the people are just so much fun to have on, and they do such a good job. It was really fun with Cole. But there are some, we had a busy August.
Yeah,
so,
and I'll say this about the interview with Cole, and this kind of a lot of what are some of our other interviews that'll come out this month too is we've always dabbled with the head golf professional, the directors of instruction. I want to say more of like the adult type person, okay, who's more buttoned up. It was amazing sitting down with Cole, and even like kind of reminded me a little bit of like Milan when we had him on, about diving into that college kid to see what they do and how they prepare and how they talk, and then just getting ready for big time tournaments. I love that, being able to have a conversation like that with, in a sense, a non-professional adult, because I think that's a cool thing for the audience to hear, that it's not always the same one working that 9 to 5 per se.
No doubt, Mike. It really was an interesting perspective. The professionals, they're out there grinding, and it's a job for them. Whereas, like, you look at, it's not a job for Cole, but it's an amateur. It's a love of the game more so than it is, a job, quote unquote job, so to speak. Same reason why people like, some people like college football better than NFL football, college basketball better than NBA, because it's got that amateurness to it where these kids are playing for, the love of the game. And now with NIL, millions of dollars. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Really good interview with Cole. Before we get into the episode, again, Drop Podcast Polos, FlukeApparelCo.com. Go check them out. I don't want to say time is running out because they're going to be available, but polo season is around the corner from ending. So make sure you go get them while you can. I will say this, obviously buy the Drop Pod polos, but they got great other stuff. They got hoodies, long sleeves, t-shirts. They got a real good line of just excellent stuff. So again, go check them out, FlukeApparelCo.com, and purchase your stuff today.
I will say this. I wore one this weekend when I was out, I can't even really call it playing golf with my daughter. And
you were playing.
If that's what you call it, what I was doing. But I do just like the look of them. And I know that I may be biased because it's our polo, in collaboration with Chris and Fluke Apparel. But I just think the look of them is very sharp. And I still say this all the time. Like, it's a polo that you could walk into the office on a Thursday or Friday wearing, and no one's being like, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the outrageous designs that some other shirts have. It's not wacky, crazy neon colors. It's a very well put together, professional, clean, sharp looking polo that I can't emphasize enough that you got to go get yours today. And I do know that one of the things that happens with when you purchase a polo is, proceeds are sent over to the First Tee Jersey Short program. So it's not only, you getting a quality polo, but you're also helping a good cause in that respect. So go check it out, FlukeApparelCo.com. Left-hand side, you see the golf collection. You'll see our polos in there. Go give those a look.
All right, Mike. Let's start here, right? The Korn Ferry Tour has been off for a little while. We had I got to sit down with Ryan McCormick when it was at Matita. We've had Chris Goddard up on. Max Grazerman is a Jersey guy, so we got some Jersey guys on the Korn Ferry Tour, and I kind of feel like we should kind of come back to that. We were doing a bunch when it was at Matita. We've kind of been quiet about it. Let's give a quick little update, maybe. Kind of make sure everyone's on the same page.
They're back in the grooves this week.
They're playing this week. They've had 3 weeks off, something like that.
Yeah, they're back in it.
They're in Tennessee this week. The following week, they're in Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I'm going to miss them by a week. I'm going to Columbus this weekend.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
And then Indiana the following week. So they got 3.
Indiana's it. That's it then.
Indiana's it. So they got 3 more tournaments left. And I think they actually skip a week if my math is correct in between Columbus and Indiana. But regardless, we got currently Max is projected 10th in the point scoring, which would mean that he gets his PGA Tour card for next year. That's incredible. Ryan sits at 19th. Again, currently, the top 30 get their tour card. So Max and Ryan are currently in, and Chris is hot on the heels. He's 33rd right now. But the number difference between 33 and 30 is 11 points. So, I mean, that's the difference of making a putt is all that is. So he's right there as well. So we're hoping these guys can break through, can get in, finish strong these last 3 weeks, and get their tour cards for next year, because that's, I think Ryan is the quote unquote old man of that bunch, and he's been grinding for a while. That would be great for him to get up there, and then obviously for have some Jersey guys in there would be excellent as well. So.
Yeah, I got to think that Max is a lock to get in. I think Ryan, if he just can be solid the next 3 weeks, I think he gets in. And I've been following Chris a lot more closely, I would say, in terms of the other two, just because I feel like we have a little bit more of a connection with him. He may be little bit younger in that respect, and I do think like he is the next big thing that's really going to eventually hit in a sense. Just like a lot of these other guys that have gone the Korn Ferry Tour route that ended up on the PGA Tour. And if you look at Chris's last 5 tournaments, I mean, minus one of them out in Utah, he's been playing some really, really good golf. And I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. He's got some, a low round thrown in there last time out in Boise where he went 62 in the opening round. In a sense, things might have fizzled for him and finished, tied for 21st, but he's right there, dude, and I think he's on the cusp of, kind of breaking through here. To get inside that top 30, and like a lot of things in life, it's a matter of just get me in, just let me get in, because once you get in, you never know what can happen. And I think that's the same thing that these guys, I'm sure as hell, are thinking. If I can just get into the PGA Tour, if I can just get my tour card, who knows what can happen? And he's right there. He's knocking at the door, and I think, listen, one of these 3 weeks, it's going to be breakthrough season, and everybody's going to say like, there Chris Goddard is.
Yeah, there's no doubt there, and you go with like, I think you're right, Mike. I think Max is a lock. Ryan, he's just got to make cuts, I would assume. Ryan's got to do a little bit more than make cuts, but again, same thing. I think if he's making cuts, he should be getting enough points to make it. Chris has got to do a little more work, but again, he has so many rounds where he just goes so low, and he's a fraction from putting it together. And really, again, I think he's knocking at the door, and what's going to happen once he puts it together? He's not knocking anymore. He's kicking the door down, and he's saying, "I'm here." So I'm right there with you. All right, Mike. Kind of staying in tournament golf, we're going to move from the pro side to the amateur side. The USGA Mid AM is going on at Sleepy Hollow. A couple of our guys are playing in it. Mark Costanza, Brad Tilley, Troy Vanucci, to name a couple. And it's Brad's home course. So it's he's the I saw a post that he's the de facto host of the tournament. So we're not really going to be able to talk much about who's winning or whatever because they had a rain delay yesterday. By the time we're recording this, they're probably just about finishing round 1. So let's talk what we can and just kind of give some shout outs and go from there.
Let's start with Brad real quick. In his practice round leading up, not at Sleepy Hollow, over at Fenway. Congrats to him making a hole-in-one at Fenway. Dude makes a hole-in-one. Obviously that's no doubt that's always a big thing when anybody makes a hole-in-one, but it's nice. It's a nice little preparation leading into a major, nonetheless, making a little hole-in-one. So shout out to Brad for doing that. So obviously, with today being Wednesday, the finals is tomorrow. So we won't know in a sense who's there. Fingers crossed, it's one of our guys. And when I say one of our guys, because after the first rounds, obviously today is Sunday, so round 1 is in the books in a sense. And 3 of our guys were 1 under par. Mark Costanza shot 1 under. Our boy Stu Hagestad battled back, finished 1 under par. Troy was 1 under par. And
I saw Troy at 2.
He was, but he finished at 1. His round finished this morning.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just pulling it up now.
Yeah, he was 2 under, and he actually, when the play resumed, he doubled the first hole out at the gate. But he did bounce back with a birdie on 15 to finish at 1 under. So, and then Brad was at even par. So you got 4 guys, right there. And all they're looking to do, just like we talked about everybody else with Chris Goddard and Max and Ryan, is just get in.
Yeah.
And it's second round is today. You got to be top 64 to make it. And then we go match play. And like anything else in life, we all know how match play goes. You never know. Seeds are irrelevant. You could be number 1 or 64. You're still playing golf. So the hope is that these guys make it to match play, and like anything from there, man, listen, who knows, but obviously if people don't know, they're playing two different golf courses. They're playing Sleepy Hollow and Fenway. Fenway is obviously where I was referencing, where Brad made the hole-in-one prior in the practice round. And numbers aren't ridiculously low. I think I saw the leader after round one was only 3 under par.
Yeah.
So guys are right there. Everybody's got a chance, more or less.
Yeah, and I'm scrolling down here, like 263 people in the field. Really, when you talk about who's got a chance, if you kind of cut that in half, because it's the top 64 that advance. And I want to ask you a question in just a second, but if you go with the top 100 there, plus ties brings you to 122, but plus 3. So it's a 6-shot difference between the leader and people who legitimately have a chance of making it. That's not that's a pretty packed board right there. 6 shots is not a lot. I do want to ask you, top 64 make it. If it's a tie at 64, do you know how they do that? They go playoff?
Yeah, playoff.
Sudden death? Okay.
So let's say you have 3 spots, but you have 8 guys. You go into a playoff.
Okay.
And you keep going until you get those 3 guys.
And how many rounds is it before we get to the round of 64?
2. Yesterday, which was Saturday,
round 1.
Saturday, which is September 9th. And then they had to finish today, which is Sunday, September 10th, even though the episode's coming out Wednesday. They finished the first round this morning because it got dark. And now they'll be playing round 2 today.
And it's going to get dark today because I'm looking at some of the tee times. Like this guy here, 2 under, doesn't tee off till 5:47 today.
Yeah, so, obviously things may get pushed back, and the whole thing may, pending. Again, match play could be crazy because some matches could end sooner than others, so it might not be the whole day. But
right.
The tournament is supposed to conclude on the 14th of September.
Okay. So then we go to 64, and it's just bracket style, 1 versus 62, 2 versus 63, and then
1 versus 64, 2 versus 63, so on and so forth.
Okay. Did I not say that?
Yeah, you said 1 versus 62.
Oh.
but no offense.
Math is hard.
In match play, it's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just to bracket them. So, yeah, that's really awesome that it's going on.
It did seem like a lot of the low rounds yesterday were at Sleepy Hollow. It did seem like a lot of the, I stand corrected. A lot of the low rounds were at Fenway yesterday. And then, obviously, Sleepy Hollow seemed to be a little bit of the tougher side. So we'll see. Brad's going to play Fenway today. So that's where kind of some of the numbers were. Because, if you look at Stu, you look at his first round, he went out on 38, 3 over par 38. But then on the back nine, scorched it for 4 under 31. So, clearly, I guess maybe Fenway was playing a little easier than Sleepy Hollow. But Sleepy Hollow, dude, some of the pictures from that place are just unbelievable. The greens there look spectacular.
What hole is that where there's like a bunker around the entire green?
Yeah, it's like a square
green. Yeah.
Dude,
that
so
is
good.
Stunning.
So good. So good. I don't know the hole. I just seen the pictures.
Yeah.
And I can't lie. Someone did text me, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, asking if I was going up there. And unfortunately, I'm not going up there. But they did say, Sleepy Hollow is an all-time spot. Just walking the grounds of that place, I was told, is just to die for. So, if you ever get invited to Sleepy Hollow, it should be a no-brainer for you.
For you and me. Maybe we'll have to put some pressure on Brad to take us up there sometime this fall.
I'm hoping one of our guys just wins it. That would be incredible.
Of course. I'm talking about playing it.
I'll caddy.
It's a little too far for a day trip, to just go, walk around. But it is. As you said, the pictures look stunning. it would be awesome to be there, but we just couldn't make it work. But yeah, whatever that hole is that we've said is beautiful. It's no other way to describe it. Run out of adjectives for it. Let's talk about how Stu's last couple weeks have been. Who's got it better than this guy?
Well, listen, I think that's what a lot of people say about Stu. Like, who has it better than Stu? But I will say this in defense of Stu, because this comes up in a lot of conversations I have with people that are either that listen to the podcast or follow along or just kind of like what we're doing about golfing here in the Garden State. And they ask me a lot about Stu. Stu's always a hot topic. And Stu's episode, still to this day, is one of the best ones we've ever done. And I swear I talk to Stu occasionally, and I say, listen, we've got to get you on when things quiet down again. Because people think Stu doesn't do anything. But if you date back to our conversation with him, he'll say to us how he grinds at his job throughout the winter, doesn't even play golf, so that when opportunities like this and his season comes around, he's able to fall back on all the work that he put in the winter to give him some extra flexibility now. But to your point, I mean, God, the Walker Cup out of St. Andrews. And by the way, how about the guy that makes the game-winning putt, in a sense?
Yeah.
David Ford. Who was a guest on the Drop podcast?
Yeah.
David Ford. But yeah, how about Stu going out to St. Andrews, dude? Winning. He played some really good golf out there. He was like their player captain, more or less. Like, he was the Mid AM.
Yep.
He was the guy that, the wise old owl of the group, but no offense, could still golf. It wasn't like he was there for hey, I'm the old guy here. No. Stu's playing and winning. And then the following week now he's playing in the Mid AM out here in New York. So it's just listen, does he have a good? No doubt about it. But like I like to say a lot to people, you work hard, you play hard.
Yeah, Stu's that point about him being a wise old owl is 100% true. I mean, he was he won 2 matches, he lost 1 at the Walker Cup. He's
at the old course.
At the old course, and he's the Mid Am, and all those guys are younger guys, like college kids. It's all amateurs, and it's David Ford. It's Gordon Sargent. It's all like these college kids. Stu's in his 30s, and is, like you said, the wise old owl of he can still do it, but he's the player coach is a good way to describe it. I think he's a good medium between I don't know who actually was the coach of the team, but he's a good medium there, and was really really cool to see the pictures. And again, I don't know if it's televised, but I really couldn't find it. But following on Instagram is really what I did for it. But it was awesome to see. And then
Mike McCoy was the captain, okay? But I think like a lot of this, and this is another thing that the United States has always, I feel like, dominates. They dominate this. If you look at the Wagger rankings, ours are like a million times better than Great Britain and Ireland. It's not really even close. But like anything, you still have to go to their soil and play on their their land per se. But obviously we have the better players. And I think Stu is like that perfect liaison between a captain who's like the adult in the room to the younger kids who are still in college. And then you got Stu in the middle there that can handle both sides of it. I look at it like he can play with these college kids and he can do damn near just as well as all of them. But he also can probably help out Mike McCoy in some respects of strategy. He's played on, I can't even tell you how many Walker Cups I feel like he's been a part of and won.
I think this was his 4th. I think I saw this was his 4th.
And it's probably his 4th victory.
Yeah.
Right? So he's probably in uncharted territories or along with some unreal names in that area. So I think it just speaks to Stu's legacy that he's building. That, man, when he wraps this whole thing up, no offense, I could see Stu being a captain of the Walker Cup.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Mike. Right out of them.
That's twice in such a short period of time right now.
I was just going to say, I could totally see him being a captain of this when he does decide to either, I don't know if he decide to hang him up or if he doesn't get selected or whatever, but like to be an amateur captain, I totally could see him doing that. I think he's got the temperament. I think he's got the knowledge. He's got the experience. I think he's a guy that you would want as your captain, or at least around the team and program in some way, shape, or form, for sure.
Yeah. So, listen, when the Mid AM wraps up there in New York, these guys that we constantly keep seeing up there, Mark's name and Stu's name and Troy's name and Brad's name, these are guys that I'm sure that, and I can't lie, I'm a big numbers guy. Like, their episodes have done phenomenal. I would love to get them back on to talk about their summers, how things went, and some of the stories and experiences they've had, because I'm sure it's second to none in terms of like some of the things that that have gone on, really.
Can we do a roundtable discussion? Let's just get all of them. We'll get all of them on. We'll have one big meeting, one big interview, one big chat, and we'll chat with them all in one sitting.
God, wouldn't that be cool?
Really would be.
I would need a whole day, because the amount of questions I would fire at all of them, for me it'd be like story time. It'd be like a little kid sitting on the desk on the floor, like back in kindergarten when the teacher's reading the book. I'd be sitting Indian style, waiting and just listening, and then raise my hand about asking this question, because the amount of stories I'm sure we could get out of them is unreal.
For sure. So, how can we check it out? If you want to follow along, honestly, I think the best way to follow along for the US Mid AM is go to USGA, their Instagram page. They got the live scoring. You can go to the website. You could even go
the website usga.org and /US Mid Amateur, and you'll see all this. I got the tab up on my computer. I'm constantly checking to see what things are, what's going on and who's playing well today. So. Yeah, you can definitely, and then you can even favorite the guys that you want to watch, so you have an idea of what they're doing and how they're playing,
how they're going. So, so go check it out. That's really the best way to look.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey, is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. George Wall Ford is a 23-time President's Award-winning store, the most prestigious customer satisfaction award a Ford dealer can receive. Stop in the showroom today to see the surplus of different cars, SUVs, trucks, and more. There isn't a better place to shop. Just ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
And then, Micah, the last thing I want to talk about with you, you called me out last week saying that I got a new favorite course every time I go play somewhere.
I mean, is that not true?
No, I do want to defend myself. Again, I don't think I'm wrong in this. If I go play somewhere new, hold on, let me finish my point. If I go play somewhere new, and that somewhere new is an awesome place, and it fits into the top, if I say that if I don't have Atlantic City Country Club in my top 5 courses in New Jersey, and I go play Atlantic City Country Club, and it's better than the other courses, or I like it better, and it falls into that. That's not. Like I've said before, I'm trying not to have recency bias. But again, if I go play somewhere that's really awesome, that's a living, breathing thing. It's not like it's not like it's a set in stone. Those things can be movable as I play different places that I haven't played before. So, to your point, I went through and I put together a list of courses for you.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear this list.
I broke it down into
Is it all Ireland places, and then
nope.
Somehow NJCC is like in the Mount Rushmore dead center of it?
I love NJCC. No, I broke it down to public courses in and out of New Jersey.
Okay.
My top 5 courses in New Jersey. My top 5 courses in the U.S. And then my all-time top 5. And really, there's just one that you add into the world. The U.S. and the world are just, I don't play a lot of golf abroad, so there's just one. But
so how can the world courses be different than the United States courses if isn't it going to be the same list?
Except for St. Patrick's. I put St. Patrick's on the list, which I played over in Ireland.
Gotcha.
So, here you go. You want them?
I'd like to hear what you have public courses inside of New Jersey. That's where I'd like to start.
Okay.
Where are we going there?
Ballyowen.
Is this no particular order, though, right?
So I tried to do this one. Ballyowen's my favorite. Ballyowen's my number 1 public course in New Jersey. Hominy is number 2. Yeah, Ballyowen is beautiful. Here's the other thing, Mike. Is there, and before we get into it, maybe we kind of already did, but let's pause for a second. Is there a statute of limitations on how far, like, if I played Ballyowen 10 years ago,
it's out.
It's out, right?
Has to be.
I think so
things
as well.
go on at a golf course in 10 years. I'd even say 5 for that matter. It might be the max that I would keep a course in there in terms of like, A, remembering it, and B, thinking that no changes were made. Because I'll give you an example. When I start thinking about your lists, I'd have to sit there and like take pen and paper to this. But when I think about like courses outside of New Jersey that I love and have played, like I played Bethpage Black years ago. Like, God, it had to be like, geez, I'm 39 now. Maybe when I was like 25, I played there.
Right.
I've played there. I loved it. It was an awesome experience. But I don't remember much except the sign on the first tee.
Great
and I
sign.
saw Jim Calhoun.
Iconic.
And I saw Jim Calhoun in the pro shop, but that's for another story. But that is the only things I remember of the golf course. I can't tell you it's one of my favorites of all time, but I liked it.
Okay.
So to me, like 3 years may be the max. After that, you need to go play the place again.
No, I think it's more than 3, but I do agree that I think that there's a time limit on how much. I think I'd say minimum 5, I think is fair. I think 10 is kind of like the height, but somewhere in there for sure. So I also agree with you. So to your point then, in 2034, Pine Valley is no longer going to be on your list then.
Like I'm sure I say this so many times on the podcast, there are exceptions to every rule. And that is just another exception.
I knew exactly your response, your response was going to be, and I knew I was going to tie you in with Pine Valley there.
What if I end up there again?
Then it resets.
And then it resets. And the memories continue, though.
So there's also that caveat that I wanted to put in there, that I think that there's some kind of like, if I played a place and loved it, but I was 22, now I'm in my late 30s, well, mid to late 30s, we'll call it. Like I don't know if that one can still be on there. I agree with you. You play Pine Valley, you play Augusta, you play, some of these super high level, top notch courses. That's going to be a little different, but I think there's a top 1% there that can stay kind of, for longer because it is what it is. So that's kind of the caveat there. So anyway, that was kind of my thinking, because Ballyowen was a few years ago, and I wanted to kind of put it out there. But that's my number 1. Hominy is my number 2. As far as the layout goes, I like Hominy. That's kind of where the podcast started. That's its home base. I think it gets I think it's really great in June, but I think it gets too much play, and it gets kind of beat up towards the end of the season. Like around now, you get a lot of people have a lot of, I don't want to say like everyday hackers, but like people, it gets a lot of play. And even if you get a lot of great play, you're still getting divots that aren't getting fixed properly. You're still getting stuff that's getting kind of eaten up a little bit, and it just gets played a ton. Not that I don't want to go play it, but that's my only thing with Hominy. And you know how much I love Charleston North for that reason. They can kind of divide and conquer, and it gets, it's doing, if both courses are doing 300 rounds, Charleston North is getting 150, Charleston South is getting 150, whereas Hominy's getting all 300. So that's my only caveat with Hominy, but the layout there, the track, it's really good. They just built a new clubhouse there. It's excellent. So that's 1 and 2. I couldn't decide between 3 and 4. Shoregate and Charleston North are my 2 others. Again, you want to go 3, T3 for both of those. And then Neshannock was really, really great as well when I got to play there. Fortunate enough to play there twice this year. It was really great as well. So that comes in at number 5 for me as my best public golf courses in New Jersey.
Those are valid. I like those.
And I will say, I put this list, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just how lists go. I feel like I was missing some. But
I was surprised. I'm surprised I didn't hear Rock Spring.
I loved Rock Spring. I really did. I would have put it. It's in that next grouping. It's in that 6 through 10.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, listen. Again, and that's something that you and I could probably sit here and go back and forth. I could nitpick at your list, and you probably, if I put a list together, you'd probably nitpick at it too, because we're all different in that respect. But I can't argue. Like Ballyoan, I'd love to get back and play Ballyoan.
Yeah.
Love to get back and play Ballyoan. I think that is just the views, the holes, the challenge. I loved that golf course.
I would love to play it again just because I've only played it once. And I'd like to, now that I know what I'm doing, you've seen the holes, you have a better idea of the layout. You know what I mean? So I would like that too. I was going to interrupt you, but to Chris Dimmick's point, when we've talked about this, it's all personal preference. I like Ballyoan more. You might like Hominy more, or you might like Rock Springs more. It's kind of whatever your personal preference is. There's really no wrong answer. I mean, if I put Shark River in this list, yeah, there'd be a wrong answer there. But I feel like I knock Shark River quite a bit, and I really don't mean it like that. But
you knocked them a lot. They should be. We're gonna start getting.
It's
some
a nice
letters
golf course, but it's not. It's not a top course in New Jersey, so you can't put that one there. But I think that this is a good list, a solid list, and again, it comes down to personal preference. Whatever your personal one is. You might have Rock Springs at 5, and I got it at 6 or 7. But again, when we've talked with Chris, he's mentioned that as well. It's like whatever fits your eye is your list. So.
It's the right answer.
I left spaces for you on our doc here to fill this out. If you'd like to, certainly fill it out. Maybe you can come in next week if you like. But
maybe I'll come in next week hot.
Okay.
With my list, because for me, I am a pen and paper. I need to think about it. I need to erase it, rewrite it, find it. I can say it'd be a lot easier for me to do public and privates in New Jersey. If you're asking me outside of New Jersey, I can't really think of spots that I've played. I really haven't traveled to play a lot of golf besides the areas of going to Florida and Pinehurst one time.
Right.
And then it would just be limited spots in those 2 areas. So to me, I'm better suited for me. You've played way more travel golf, world golf, outside of New Jersey golf than I have. So for me, I could put one together for New Jersey, so I'll do that aspect of it next week.
I wouldn't even say that. I don't feel like I've played a ton. I just feel like I've been fortunate enough to go play really nice places when I have gone outside. I've gone to Myrtle Beach, and I went, I went and played Caledonia and True Blue, and Caledonia is on my list. I love Caledonia. I've been fortunate enough to play Bethpage. I mean, often's a stretch, but I played it 7 or 8 times now.
I really would like to. You know what? I'd like to see a list from you.
Well, let me finish. Okay, go ahead.
No, okay, finish first, then I'll get into this, because this is an interesting one.
my brother lives in California, so when I went to visit him in LA, I took a trip down and played Torrey Pines. Was spectacular. And then, just going across to Ireland is really the biggest one that I'd say. I don't know, there's others that I've played. My friends in the military, I always try to play the military course where he's stationed when I try to go visit him. There's been some really nice ones, but I don't know if they fit under this particular list. So yeah, my point is I don't think I've played a ton of golf outside of New Jersey. I think I've just played really nice golf outside of New Jersey. If that makes sense.
100%.
What list do you want to see? What were you just going to say?
Well, let's finish your list.
Okay. My top 5 courses in New Jersey. So I gave you the public. Let me give you. Yeah, we'll stay in New Jersey. Again, I don't know if this is in true order or not. North Jersey was phenomenal. You know how much I love that. Again, this kind of goes with what we were talking about before. I have Ridgewood in there, but it's been now 6-7 years since I've played Ridgewood, I think. But I've been on property. Hollywood, Manasquan, and the Ridge at Backbrook. Same thing with the Ridge at Backbrook. It's been a few years. It's probably got to come off sometime soon, or I got to go play it. But that place was beautiful. Going back to public tracks, but outside of New Jersey. So I took all the New Jersey courses out, and I just courses that I've played that have been public. Now, I've been to Pinehurst. I know you talk a lot about Pinehurst. I've only played the odd numbers at Pinehurst. So those are nice, but like when again my friend that's in the military, he's in the Army, he was stationed at Fort Bragg, which is only like 45 minutes to an hour from Pinehurst, but I was 23 years old and couldn't afford the $275 to play Pinehurst 2 at the time. Now it's probably doubled. But so so we played when I went, we played the odd numbers, which are the lesser of them. It's like 2, 4, and 8 are the biggest ones. I played 1, 3, and 5 when I was there. So a little more my price range. They were excellent, but they didn't make, because I didn't play the best ones there, and also now we're going back 15 years, I didn't put them on the list. Best public outside New Jersey. Caledonia is my number 1. I absolutely love that place down in Myrtle Beach, Pawleys Island, South Carolina. So good. So random that you can get clam chowder before the first hole. It's an amazing spot. Bethpage, Torrey Pines, Cog Hill in Chicago. Dubs Dread is the course. I think there's 3 courses there. Dubs Dread used to host I think it's the BMW that used to be out there. Tremendous course. It's a great picture of Tiger Woods winning the tournament and the 18th fairway collapsing on him, so he's walking in front of a wall of people. Really neat. And then Pound Ridge in upstate New York, just over the border, was tremendous as well. That was kind of one where I was like, during COVID, I was looking for places to play in New York, because if you remember, New York got opened up golf before New Jersey did. So I went and played Pound Ridge, and I actually drove out to Montauk and played Montauk Downs, which was beautiful as well. But again, because it was COVID, it wasn't in the tremendous shape that I would assume it would be in. But Pound Ridge was in excellent shape. Really a great course. If you got a chance to go to Pound Ridge, again, if you live in North Jersey, it's not far away. Really excellent course.
Another good list. I don't know. To me, like you every time you say these tracks, it gets me like the itch to now like just want to go play golf. And I look outside my window right now and it's lightning and thunder. So clearly I'm not going to play golf anytime soon. But every time I hear and I listen to your list, I'm like, all right, let's go tee it up.
Let's do it.
I mean, yeah, listen, I mean, those courses are and sound phenomenal. And they're all names. They're all names. Like I've heard of every single one of them. I've heard of Pound Ridge, clearly Cog Hill, obviously Torrey Pines, Bethpage, Caledonia. You hear those, like to die for.
Yeah.
When you get your private plane, we can just course hop.
I would love that. So then to kind of finish off the world courses, which is what you called me out for last week, the top 5 world courses. St. Patrick's is my number 1 over in Ireland, which I recapped last week. I can't tell you how great that course was. Aesthetically, if you want to go like golf course architecture, it was fantastic. I mean, Tom Doak takes it and makes it turned a 36-hole facility into a tremendous 18-hole facility, and just where the bunkers are, the undulations, the dunes, everything about it is spectacular. I really, again, I know you called me out for recency bias. It was fucking phenomenal.
I feel like you're taking me calling you out personally.
Well, you did call me out. And I took that personally.
I feel like you've been sitting on this for a whole week and you've been like chomping at the bit for this episode, because I guess I rubbed you the wrong way by calling you out on that.
No, I didn't really take it personally. This has actually been something.
You can be honest. I'm getting the vibe.
If you go back, top public courses and top courses in New Jersey has been in our list of things to talk about for a while, because that's an easy topic, but not something that we need to throw out when we have other topics, but those have kind of been on there. But it did get me thinking, because I do like to think about that kind of stuff, and having our golf course ratings and that kind of stuff. This gets the juices flowing a little bit. But yeah, St. Patrick's is number 1, and then Caledonia, Bethpage, Torrey, and NJCC round out the top 5 for my favorite courses that I've ever played.
Solid.
Now, I'd also say this: those are courses. I don't necessarily know, like, if you were to ask me, like, experience or places or facilities or whatever, I don't know if that list changes. I think it does. If you were to say, like, experiences, that'd be an interesting take on it. But anyway, that's my list. Right now, I'm sticking to it. It's in pencil, because if I go get invited to play Augusta tomorrow, I bet that's going to be higher than St. Patrick's.
So my question to you is this. I want to know, and I don't want it right now, and this may cause us some issues with me saying this, but, I guess how I am, I have to say it. I want to know the spots you don't like. And I don't want them right now, because I want you to actually think about it, because when you don't think about it, it's just all emotional based. Like, I want you to tell me spots that, like, people have played, but it just doesn't interest you.
You want overrated.
Yeah, in your eyes. Now, I get it. Like, you could say one course, and I know you always keep killing Shark River, and I'm sure there's people on here that love Shark River, but, like, I would like to know what are spots that you just, like, you know what? I just don't like it. And as much convincing as I could say to you to try to get you to like it, you're just not. And I think that would be an interesting take for the audience to hear some of the spots that we don't like, and not in a negative way. And then if that course listens to the podcast or hears it, they say, hey, time out. You got to come check this place out and see the things that we've done, with the hope in mind to possibly change your mind.
I love that idea. Let's do it. I'll think about it this week.
I just thought of that just now.
I like that.
Impressive? Impressive?
Let's both do it. You got a big list. You got a lot of lists to put up for next week.
You're giving me. I got a busy week. And now I'm just adding to it. I'm just adding to it. But I think we start with yours. I'll put together my list of spots I like in New Jersey the way you did this week. and then the following week I'll counter with the spots that aren't high on my list. But I do think that would be an interesting thing to hear your perspective, because then I can counter it. I can say, what about this or that, to see if I can gauge where your thoughts are at and possibly change your mind before I give you mine.
All right.
So you got a homework assignment.
So do you. We got homework for this week.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of homework.
All right. Well, hey, I think that finishes up us for today.
Go do your homework. Go do your homework.
You as well. You guys, hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We're going to send you now to our interview with Cole Eckert. Again, Cole is an absolute stud, currently playing for the Richmond Spiders out of Chatham, New Jersey. We had a great interview with him. Again, we said at the beginning, we interviewed Cole in early August, so some stuff might be a little outdated at this point, but nonetheless interesting and such a great interview. Super charismatic, super talkative, friendly. It was really a nice talk with Cole. So I hope you liked the interview. Enjoy.
All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior modeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs.
So today's guest, I feel like lately we've been diving hard into, the college scene in terms of finding studs that come out of New Jersey that are playing really good golf, and I think this just kind of adds to where we're at. Today's guest was the 2021 Met Junior Player of the Year. He was a top-ranked player coming out of the state of New Jersey. He was a two-time first-team All-State selection from Chatham High School. He currently plays Division I golf at Richmond University. Today's guest is Cole Eckert. Cole, thanks so much for coming on the show today, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. I think this is going to be some fun.
Yeah, listen, I tell Ryan all the time, and it's kind of like the going trend here. We've had Milan on, we had Colin Summers on, and then getting you on too. It's kind of like this little theme that I'm on. I'm like vicariously living through you guys and your golf games, because I always like to say, like, I think I can play, and then I see what you guys do, and I just, kind of puts me back in my place a little bit that I really can't. So I'm excited to talk to you guys and kind of, see how you guys go about things. So why don't we start a little bit with your background? And, I know, and I'm kind of like a research nerd in terms of like looking things up, but, I understand that golf really wasn't number one for you growing up, and kind of some things led you to start to play golf. So why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background about you, your story, and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, pretty much right what you said. I played baseball, lacrosse, basketball, soccer, even a little bit of football when I was younger. And golf was something I would just do with my dad a few times a summer. So it definitely wasn't my main priority. And then I believe it was the spring of my 8th grade year, I broke my collarbone playing soccer. So I was sidelined from soccer, lacrosse, and baseball for a good 3 or 4 months. And I really wanted to do something outside, something to stay active. So I would go to the course with my sling on my left arm, and I would go putt one-handed. And it was, at the time, it was just like something to pass the time. Got back from that injury, played quite a bit more golf that summer. and got into high school, was playing a good amount, decided to play for the high school team. And it was actually that fall of my high school freshman year that I broke my wrist in a basketball game. So a couple of bad injuries back to back, and wasn't able to play my main sports for quite a while. And by the time my spring of my freshman year of high school came around, it was pretty much full steam ahead with golf. And the cool thing was a lot of my buddies who I grew up playing baseball with were now playing a bit more golf. So I had people to go out there and play with, but it definitely wasn't the traditional way of me getting into the game. I didn't play a ton when I was little, and it was definitely more something that kind of was sprung on me at a later age. But it was a blessing in disguise, because I definitely don't think I would have played collegiately if those injuries hadn't have happened.
Is that something that, like, are you a really good putter because you spent a whole lot of time in like just right-handed putting? Like, that's something that, like, that's like something out of what's that movie with Russell Crowe where he's the boxer where he can't beat, like,
Oh, is it Southpaw?
I don't think it's Southpaw. No. Right, but he can't, like, punch left-handed. Then he's forced to go work on the docks, and he breaks his right arm. So in order to work, he's got to, like, work the left hand, and then he becomes, like, this world famous boxer. What is that movie? Oh,
yeah, I'm not the movie guy here.
No,
Right?
you're not. No, Mike's not the movie guy on here. I am, and I'm disappointed I can't remember it. But, like, is that kind of situation? Like, do you feel like that was, like, do you go back to, like, one-handed drills and stuff even today when you need, like a refresher?
It's funny, I don't too often, but there is one-handed drill that I used to do quite a bit, and I always putted great after
Cinderella
I did
Man.
that, so I probably should think Cinderella Man.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Is that a Disney movie?
No.
But I should probably do that more often, because I was dialed in when I got back from those injuries, and probably haven't putted that well in a few years.
To say that you were like a late bloomer is kind of crazy, because you're still such a young kid. But the idea that a lot of kids grow up playing golf from 5 to 6 to 7 and then just kind of continue on this peak of, like, collegiate golf to kind of like where you are today. What was the one thing that, like, kind of like gave you the itch to say, you know what, I'm going to give up baseball, I'm going to give up lacrosse, I'm going to give up something that clearly that didn't mean a lot to you, to then dive full throttle into this? Like, what was the thing that got you, or
That's a good question. I think it was definitely just the fact that a bunch of my buddies who I grew up playing team sports were now playing golf. If I came back from that collarbone injury and that wrist injury, and I was still the only one who was out playing golf after school, there wouldn't have been as much of an appeal, just because I would, have been going and doing it alone. But I had 3 or 4, even maybe 5 or 6 really good friends who were out there, and it seemed like every day after school it was like, hey, if we don't have sports practice, let's go play 9 holes. So there was a big influence from other people. It wasn't just me that was getting to the game. And a couple of my friends and I, we were much younger and much more inexperienced than you guys, but we were kind of going down that same path of, hey, let's make a YouTube channel, let's make a podcast. So, like, and that was like the golden era of golf YouTube, and those guys like Rick Shields and Peter Finch were huge, and we loved that at that age. So it was perfect for us. And I think I still love baseball, I still love lacrosse. I follow all the New York sports pretty heavily, but golf was just fun. It was very relaxed, and the fact that my friends were all doing it was just right up my alley as well.
Now, when you get obviously into high school and you start playing golf, and obviously, I think your high school career kind of speaks for itself. But that year of 2021, or more or less like that summer, was a huge summer for you. And I know, we've been fortunate to talk to some of the other guys about how successful they've been in not only state events, but more so on the MGA side, which is, probably a larger scale with, a higher degree of golfers, let's just say it and put it that way. So as you're graduating high school, is Richmond on the radar before you had that huge summer, or does that come kind of after the fact?
Yeah, Richmond was definitely on the radar. I actually committed, I think, January of my junior year, so pretty early. Yeah.
So
Which was
this is really well before you even had that monster summer winning the MGA Junior Player of the Year.
totally. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty good for a late
looking
bloomer.
back, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I might go break my collarbone at 39 and see if the senior tour's on my future.
Tell you what, Mike, I
would
can
highly
help you with that.
recommend it, but no, I would recommend it. I just don't want to be liable for that. No, Richmond. Yeah, I was definitely fortunate to commit early. The other thing too was I committed January of 2020, so right before COVID hit. And I know a lot of kids had tough situations with coaches not recruiting as heavily during COVID. So looking back, it was another blessing in disguise committing a bit early. But my parents are, my dad played collegiately. He ran track at Penn. So he kind of knew the whole recruiting situation. So I got my name out there as early as I could, started sending out emails late my freshman year. So by the time junior year came around, I had a decent amount of interest, fortunately. And I was down to probably 4 or 5 schools, and Richmond was the one in the South where I would be able to play year round. And I will say, growing up in Jersey, taking a few months off to play basketball or do other things in the winter was nice, just to kind of refresh your brain throughout high school. But at this point, given that I've kind of committed my life to golf and I'm playing collegiately, it's nice to be able to play year round. So I think that was the main appeal to Richmond. Surprisingly, there's a good amount of Jersey kids who end up going down there. So I knew quite a bit about the school and was able to go down for a couple visits. But it's awesome. I'm liking it so far, and definitely was fortunate with the whole recruiting to get it out of the way before COVID.
Yeah, no doubt there. Do you feel like, I know we said late bloomer, but do you feel like you were hit the ground running with golf right away? Like, to be able to be recruited to a Division I program your junior year, having not really gotten into golf until freshman year with those injuries, that's yes, late bloomer, because like you didn't grow up on a practicing with dad at the country club like some of these other kids, but like that's still pretty. That's a lot of great golf really quickly, and only continuing the trend up.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was really funny. Before I got injured, I was okay. Like I could go shoot, I don't know, 90s, maybe high 80s. And no, you guys are great players too. I don't mean that in a bad way. But
I love it. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I love hearing that because it's always, it puts things in perspective for us, because I feel like I can play and my index is 2.3. I feel like I can get it around. But then to me, Ryan looks at me like, oh, Mike's really good. Mm-hmm. But I look at you guys and I'm like, no. Like, I think I can play. But then I watch you guys and I'm like, no, these guys golf.
Well, I've seen some of your vids on Instagram. You can play for sure. You got to give yourself some credit.
Mike likes to undersell himself.
I can tell. Yeah. Going back to your question though, I definitely hit the ground running. Like I said, before the injuries, I was a solid player. I could go and hold my own, but didn't really play any tournaments. Wasn't thinking at all about playing collegiately, because I was one of those just multi-sport athletes who would go out and play for fun and shoot, I don't know, 94, 95. And then saw a little bit of improvement in middle school, but I was playing so little that I didn't really care and it didn't impact me too much. And then the funny thing was, when I got back from that collarbone injury, all of a sudden I was just shooting high 70s, mid 70s. So it was like such a random occurrence that I'm thankful for now. But I think, playing a lot of other sports helped, because I had some natural athleticism and I wasn't like totally foreign to the game. Kind of knew how to swing. I knew how to move my body. And at that point, almost getting into high school, my body was maturing quite a bit. So I was able to hit the ball a lot better. And the one-handed putting certainly helped. But I don't think, to be honest, if I was shooting the scores I was shooting after those injuries, I don't think I would have pursued golf as heavily, because I saw that there was some potential there. And, you mix that with the fact that I was really enjoying the game and playing with friends. And that's kind of what helped, my passion for it take off. But a lot of people ask me that. They're like, how'd you kind of get from a solid player to a good player? And it's always tough for me to answer because it was just something that kind of happened right after the injuries, and I can't totally explain it.
Did you grow up play, like you said, you kind of knocked it around in middle school? Did you, like, at Chatham's got a great area of, there's a lot of great courses around there. Did you guys belong to a club and you knocked it around? Are you playing public courses up there? Like, what's the background there?
Yeah, so I grew up about 3 or 4 minutes from Fairmount Country Club in Chatham. And when we were little, my sister and I, we used to do the swim team. We used to go to the pool all the time in the summer. So my parents joined probably when I was 7 or 8. I lived in Chatham pretty much my whole life. So they joined pretty early, which we were really fortunate to have. And but yeah, like the first, I don't know, 8 to 10 years that we were members, it was all just for the pool and go to the clubhouse to eat sometimes. And then obviously once I got more into the game, using the golf facilities and all that stuff really kind of, it was more worth it. But I was lucky. My dad's not a big golfer. My mom doesn't play at all, but I was fortunate to grow up in an area where we were able to afford a country club, and a lot of my good friends I met through Fairmount. So it turned out to be great. Nice little, local spot. It's not the Baltusrol. It's not a club like that, but it's still a club, and a lot of fun things that you can do there. And it was nice growing up there because everybody's so friendly and everybody cares about the kids. And whether you're a golfer, whether you're a baseball player, the members will always ask you how your sports are going, how your school is going. So it was the perfect spot for me to grow up.
Nice.
I do think that playing multiple sports, and I know Ryan and I harp on this a lot.
100%.
I think that carries so much value in moving forward. Is that you're not just a one sport person. You don't get burnt out. You're able to have memories and experiences where you're not always the guy or the girl or the man or the best player in the team, and you're able to just be a part of the team. And I think being a multi-sport athlete, I think, like you said, it just brings a whole different thing to the game of golf. And when you're playing that sport and it's such a mental grind, being able to like sit back and smile and think about like, man, that was fun just hanging out at Johnny's house after the soccer game, after the lacrosse game, because it kind of takes you away from just being so ingrained in like fairway, green, two putt, fairway, green, two putt. Did that help you a little bit, you feel like?
100%. Yeah. I think team sports only helped me once I started playing golf. And like you said, you have much more situational awareness for how lucky you are to be playing a sport, and how lucky you are to be playing it with friends, and kind of simulating that team aspect. But that's one of the reasons I've loved college golf so much so far, is you kind of get the team back, the team aspect back into golf, which in junior golf you rarely get, just because it's all, stroke play events and stuff like that. But I still miss the team sports. Baseball's still my true love. Big Yankee fan, so I'm always following them, unfortunately, in these times. But I think team sports are like the foundation for it should be the foundation for a lot of kids' childhood. You make great friends, you play fun sports, and like you said, what beats going and beating up on Westfield in baseball and then getting a slice?
I think that's lost.
So Cole,
that idea is lost, that you're going to play three sports, and not everybody not everybody is the stud of three sports. Sometimes you might be the stud basketball player, and then you're just you might be the eighth batter on the baseball team. But I feel like that's gotten lost. Everyone wants to be the star of whatever they do, so we have this idea of specializing in a sport because, well, if I'm not gonna, if I'm not playing, then I'm just not gonna do that. I'm gonna be specialized, and I think that's become a rarity now, especially for kids your age.
No, I agree. And the thing I noticed too, kind of going in line with what you said, is a lot of those kids that do specialize, by the time they get to college, they're so burnt out in that one sport, and they've gone so hard in it for so long that the passion and the love for the sport is not there anymore.
For sure.
I think, adding in other sports is a great thing. And like, you want to be an athlete at the end of the day. You see these guys that win major championships now. It's like Brooks Koepka, obviously Tiger won a bunch, but they're these athletes. They're not these scrawny guys that only specialized in golf. So that's totally the path, to take, in my opinion. And I think, like I said, I've harped on this probably 20 times in the past 2 minutes, but team sports are only good for golf and for your life in general. You're gonna build great relationships. You're gonna make friends. You're gonna have fun, and you're gonna become an athlete.
No doubt.
So as you're, if we go back into the playing career and we start talking about like, your 2021 summer. Obviously, I didn't realize that you had already previously committed to Richmond. So, that kind of like is surprising to me, I guess, because then you go on and have this huge summer. You have a huge high school senior year, then you have a huge summer where, winning the junior player of the year in the MGA is a absolute huge accomplishment because the names that are on there are just unreal. But does the thought of something else other than Richmond cross your mind, or are you loyal and dead set, like, I'm going to Richmond, they stuck by me early on, or were there other opportunities for you?
Yeah, during my recruiting, there were a couple other opportunities, but going back to what I said earlier about the weather, I think Richmond was the clear option. And honestly, going into college, that 2021 summer, I didn't have any thoughts about going somewhere else. I was totally dead set on Richmond. And fortunately, I've played pretty well my first 2 years in college. So there's certainly been times where maybe trying to transfer to a higher ranked program has crept in, but I've spoken to my coach about that a few times. And the great thing is we have really good facilities at Richmond. They built us all these hitting bays and indoor putting green, outdoor putting green, short course at the course we practice at. So we pretty much have all the facilities that you need, regardless of if you're at the 100th ranked program in the country or if you're at the 10th ranked program in the country. And I love the school. I've made some great friends down there. So definitely don't plan on transferring anytime soon. And something I've kind of come to realize is, yes, a lot of the best players do come out of the top schools, but there's many examples of guys who don't. I mean, you take a guy like Zach Johnson. I think he was the 4th ranked player at Drake, and he's won a couple majors. So
you'd take his career.
That's pretty good.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he won a couple of majors, one at the Masters, one at St. Andrews. I mean, sign me up for that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not a bad track record.
Nah.
But I think that's something, to your point, like that's something that golf, while you have this team atmosphere and this team aspect of college golf that you can do individually, that those other team sports, like we were mentioning, are much tougher to do. It's tougher to do that in basketball or football, where you might be the stud quarterback at well, I was going to say Delaware, but then you have Joe Flacco. But like it's much harder to come out of like a smaller school that you haven't gotten to. But golf seems to be able to, because it is individualized more than other sports.
Yeah, at a certain point in golf, it's up to you to really reach that next level of really good golf. And I've spoken to my parents about this a lot. They're both great parents, very driven, and I've spoken to them a lot about like ambition and kind of taking your life to the next level. And they've said the exact same thing. At a certain point, it's just up to you. You have to decide, and you have to commit your life to it. You have to make it a lifestyle. And I don't think that my ambition to become a great golfer would be any higher at a different program. And given that I have all the resources at Richmond, I totally plan on staying here. And like I said, it's up to me at this point to make use of what I have and try to go as far as I can in the game.
Yeah, and it's funny, Rye, he says like, I'm humble because he sees some of the Instagram things, but he says he played all right his first 2 years. Let's just real quick, his sophomore year, he sets a program record for lowest scoring average, 71. Not too shabby there. No. First place in Richmond's career scoring average, 72. So, I mean, like, this is through 2 years of high school. I mean, you want to talk about golfing, that's some big time numbers on average. I'm not talking about just his low round. So clearly, you can get the job done. There's no questions asked. And I think that's a good point. Like, if you have the resources and you have the capabilities, at the end of the day, that work ethic comes down to you. Like, you either want to get it done or you don't, and if you do, then you got to find a way. And I think one of the things that I've learned talking to a lot of you guys is, and I probably would say this on repeat, is that you guys are very, very mature for your age. I think back to when I was 21 and 22, and we can't even go down that road because I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. But I do think that, like, you guys have such a good head on your shoulders that you kind of know what you want. You understand things, and then you're going to find a way to get it done. And I kind of am very envious of you guys with that, because I love how you guys are so driven, which kind of like leads me to like this summer for you. Like, obviously, you were the medalist. I believe you were, right? You were the medalist at the qualifier for the USAM at Essex County, correct?
I was, yep.
Yeah. I was going to say 68, 69, 2 solid rounds of golf. Like, there you go, right? Just another day's work for Cole, which in a few weeks is heading out to Cherry Hills. Like, obviously, like, again, I say this, but I vicariously live through you guys, because I think that is just an unbelievable thing. And do you have any expectations heading out there?
That's an interesting question. I haven't thought too much about it. I mean, I think naturally you have expectations to do as best as you can and hopefully make the match play and make a run. But I think my expectations will be more set in stone the closer I get to the event. But what I'm going in hoping to do is just take it all in, have a great week, try to make use of whatever good golf I have. I was fortunate to play in the US Junior Am in 2021, and it's such a first-class event. USGA does a great job, and I've heard the USAM is even a step up from that. So just going to take it all in, enjoy the tee gifts they give out and the treatment that the USGA gives to all the players. I got a good friend who actually caddied in the qualifier coming out with me to caddy. So it's going to be a fun week. But going back to what you said, in terms of the golf stuff, I wouldn't say I have expectations, but I have probably ambitions to obviously try to make the finals and get into a couple majors for next season. That would be the ultimate, the ultimate accomplishment for the summer. But yeah, I mean, just try to play as best I can. It'll be curious for me to see how my game stacks up with some of the best amateurs in the world. But yeah, I just want to take it all in, have a good week, make it a memory, because I'm sure it'll be a week that I remember for the rest of my life.
You're going to get to beat Peyton Manning.
I hope. I've heard he's a member, so I'm hoping he's walking the ground.
I remember looking up, like, he's like an honorary. He's like on the. I don't want to say rules committee, but he's when I was looking it up, he's on like the board or something. It was the very first picture on the front page of the website.
Yeah, I'm sure I would be shocked if he wasn't out there. So I'll be keeping my eye out.
Yeah, and as a sports guy, I mean, you don't need to necessarily be a sports guy to not want to meet Peyton Manning, but like that's one that like anyone can be excited to meet.
That's a big one. I kind of grew up in his prime, so that'll be a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of miss Tiger, but Peyton is right up my alley.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you think about the experience and I know, and it's so, I say this a lot, like, I'm always like the results driven guy. Like, I can just envision myself holding the trophy, and you guys are, again, way more mature than I am. Even me sitting here 39 years old with a wife and 2 kids, like, I still think about holding the damn trophy. Like, you guys are so level headed that it's like, it's all about, the process of getting there. Let's have fun, let's enjoy it, and let's just see what ends up happening as we go. Because I think, like anything, you're probably just hoping to get in, to play well, get through qualifying. Then you get in, it's like, all right, let's just see if I can get to match play. Where I'm thinking, like, the first tee shot of qualifying, like, I'm going to hold the trophy at the end of this damn thing, and I'm not even getting through the qualifier. So, like, I do envy you guys in a lot of respect with that.
Why is that?
I'd be lying though if I.
Yeah,
sorry.
No. Yeah, how do you guys do that?
Mike, we were talking about it before. Like we've had guest after guest, Cole, of of like college guys that just have great heads on their shoulders. One guy after the other is super grounded. They know what they want. They're secure in who they are. They're not like other college people are still trying to figure themselves out. Why is it that golfers are like great people?
They get it.
Yeah. Why is
get
that?
it.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, you got to give some credit to the great state of New Jersey for breeding these great golfers. But
Well, that's true.
I think being around the game, you play with a lot of people that are older than you, and you hear their perspective. And more often than not, people that are older than you are more mature. So you kind of take things that you learn from them and implement them into your own game. And the nice thing too is, any week that you watch the PGA Tour now, you got 22-year-olds that are way more humble than I am doing interviews. So they're great role models for us. You can say the same about pretty much any sport in the U.S. right now. But it's probably a mixture of that. And I think golf obviously gets the stereotype of being like the gentleman's game. So naturally playing it throughout high school and college, you learn to be polite, you learn to be well-mannered. And I think the maturity comes along with that.
Yeah, and I think that also helps, and I know, this is probably another thing that I've said, Rye, multiple times, is like, I know social media and that can be such a negative for some people, but when used properly, it can be such a great resource and a tool for people just to watch, to learn, to see how to handle certain things and how they don't want to handle certain things. And, for as many negative things that people say about TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, it's just like, oh, I'll never do that. So like when guys like you and Milan and Colin, they get in these situations, they're able to be more mature and say, listen, that's what I'm not going to do, and here's how I'm going to handle it.
Yeah, totally. It's funny too, when you bring up Milan and Colin, I played with them in the final round of the Ike, so it's a small world that
I know. It's so, because Milan, his interview came out today, and that came up in conversation, and we talked to Colin yesterday. That came up in conversation, and it's just, that's for us. It's like our goal obviously is really just to highlight everything that is golf in the Garden State, and talking to guys, all different guys, whether you're head golf professional, director of instruction, a superintendent, like whatever the case is. We're just getting to the point where like, let's dive into the college golfer, let's get into that younger crowd, and because we also know, like, we don't know how interested guys like you and those other guys are in coming on the show and talking. But it's just been amazing because we like to hear from your perspective too, because it's a different audience for us. And I think that's always fun because we get a lot of the questions of like, how did this guy become so good? Or what did they do? Or what are some things that they can give me? So it's nice talking to you guys and hearing your perspective on things.
No, and we all appreciate you guys having us on because it's like an honor in itself to be made public and be with you guys. But so it's fun. I'm enjoying it so far. But
yeah,
we follow you guys too. Like I was talking about, I was watching the Rock Spring video recently, so I'm following you guys just as much as you're probably following me.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. So Cole, I know that like travel and food are two major interests of you. And, like my wife and I love to get out and travel. We were able to do a little more before we had kids, but now that we have them, we just kind of tug them along. Give me a spot that travel wise is like, like, listen, right now, if we could just go, let's just pack our bags and go. And then give me a food that is like, no matter what, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, we're just killing it.
Food easy for me is pizza. That's
amen to that. Amen to that,
sure.
bro. Amen to
sure.
that. Listen, I can eat a pie by myself.
Oh yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, good. See, that's my type of guy.
Pizza easy. Growing up in the Met area, that's got to be the answer, just with how much good pizza we have. And then in terms of a destination, I'd have to think for a second, but
non-golf related.
Non-golf related. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not packing my bags to hit the ball. I just want to go on vacation. Where am I going?
Let's do Japan.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Have you been?
Never been to Japan. My dad works in the travel industry, so he's been a couple times throughout the years, and he says it's just amazing. Such a
Wow.
cool culture. So, and I love sushi, so I'd be right up my alley.
Yeah,
There
wow.
you go. There you go. See, like for me, it's a no-brainer Italy. I'm going back. My wife and I went to Italy, and I swear to God, I say to her every day, like, let's just move. Let's pack our bags. We'll figure the rest out. We'll figure the rest out, because when you talk about pizza, like, have you ever been to Italy?
I was able to go a few years ago. Yeah, it's incredible.
Bro, I kid you not. When I ordered a pizza and they give me a knife and a fork and it's not cut into slices,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is heaven. This is heaven right now.
The best pizza I've ever had is in Naples. Like some like
100%.
and like it's not a hole in the wall bar, but like like those divey sports bars. It was like a divey pizza place. Best pizza I've ever had, and like great experience. Like it was over the counter. Get it to go. You look and like this, and like the water is right there. That was. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Isn't the pizza there is more Neapolitan style, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I remember. Yeah.
But I will say this, depending on where you're at in Italy, it varies. It does.
Okay.
Because in Naples, it's like wet mozzarella cheese on the pizza, and it's like flawless. But then if you go to like the Rome area, it's more traditional, like just a regular pie of pizza. So it's like, I think where you're at in Italy, it varies a lot. But
Gotcha.
I knew I had to ask you those questions because I was dying to see where you were taking us, and I was never going to get us Japan, ever.
No.
Yeah.
But
No, we could probably make a long trip out of it, but I think Japan would be number one.
Wow.
What about you guys?
well, I'm going to Italy. There's no. I'm actually going to live in Italy if I have a choice.
So I've been to Italy. I would go back in a hot second. I'm looking forward. I'm actually going to Ireland the end of the summer. A golf trip with one of my high school buddies lives out in Dublin, so I'm going to see him. So
That's awesome.
I can't wait because I've never been, and it's been like, for me, it's like Italy or Ireland are places that I've wanted to visit. Even though I've been to Italy, it's still ahead of almost every other place in Europe other than Ireland. So I'm super looking forward to that. It's gonna be awesome.
What courses you got lined up?
I think we got 7 lined up. We're not doing any of the touristy ones. So he's been over there for like 10 years. So his family, they've all become, you know how in Ireland it's great. It's like it's super cheap to be like a lifetime member. So they're all northwestern Ireland. So we're playing Carn. We're going to Rosa Pena and playing Sandy Links and St. Patrick's. What did I say? Carn, County Sligo.
You said that.
I said
Carn. Are you playing Carn?
Carn, yeah.
I didn't know if you
Try
said-
to go in order there. I actually, it's funny. I deep dived last night. So like, I'm so excited for this trip. I keep like every night I keep going to like Google Maps and like around where we're staying and just trying to find stuff that's around there and just like equate myself with the area. I'm like super nerdily excited about this.
No, you got to. That'll be a once in a lifetime trip.
For sure.
Cole, so I do have a couple of questions here to kind of wrap up, but before I get to my ending question, I do know, like, typically we get a lot of questions from, like high school golfers that are always like, can you ask these better guys like what we could do to improve our game, or where can we find a way to take our game to the next level? Because, guys like yourself are already there more or less. Like, what are some things or one specific thing you would tell a high school golfer that's right there, that's just can't break through, that they should really focus heavily on?
I think I got 2 things, if that's all right. But
yeah, absolutely.
100%.
One is just you got to become as good a putter as you can. Work on that more than anything.
One-handed or 2?
I think we've all had round. You know what? You can go 2-handed for this scenario. But, we've all had rounds where we hit the ball like crap and you make putts and all of a sudden you shoot a pretty good score. So in my opinion, putting is by far the most important part of the game. And then secondly, once your body's mature enough and once you're kind of at a stable spot in your growth, I think a big thing is doing consistent workouts and consistent mobility. So knowing exactly what parts of your body you're trying to strengthen and doing the same mobility patterns day after day. I've started doing that a lot in the last couple of years, and the consistency in the way my body moves and the way I swing is very noticeable. So you'll be able to actually expect certain shots. You know exactly what a swing will produce, and you'll hit the ball more consistently generally. I think that's a pretty overlooked thing in golf. Everybody just wants to go to the course and beat balls all day, but if you split up your day half and half, practice and working on your body, I think you're going to get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, that's solid. Yeah, I like that. Putting, no doubt. Listen, that's my Achilles heel. So I just don't practice, but I do.
It is
agree
for a
with
lot
that.
of
That's the thing. It's putting in the time. Like we all know, it's just like you said, putting. You can fix. Mike, you can fix your putting, but it requires having hours and hours available to work on your putting. And
Yeah. But even if you have, let's say you have 30 minutes after work to go putt, I think doing 10 minutes of getting your setup set in stone. So like I use one of those mirrors just to make sure I'm setting up consistently. Do 10 minutes of that, do 10 minutes of putting within 10 feet, or maybe even 15, and then do 5 to 10 minutes of putting from 15 to 30 feet. And that's, it's not, obviously you're not going to get the same as like a 3-hour putting session, but if you just get the fundamentals down and you do it consistently, let's say you do that 3 or 4 times a week, I think your putting is going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, then I need a mental coach to deal with my head, and then I need this guy to deal with that. No, but I do agree. Like, listen, I always say, like, you can't complain if you don't practice. Like, you don't have the right to complain if you're not putting the time in. So, like, if you get mad at yourself for hitting a bad putt, like, you can't really get mad at yourself. You don't do anything to change or practice it. So, like, those things are 100%. I agree with. So, I think my other question to kind of wrap it up here is, like, I know Ryan and I always like to ask a few questions to put the bow in this, and I'm not trying to stump you, but obviously our goal here is to highlight all the things golfing in the Garden State, to travel the state, play golf, talk as much as we can about it. But we also know, like, there are many good public and private spots out there. And if someone were to get an invite or asked to go play, do you have a public and a private spot you would recommend to the audience to go check out? And it can't be your home place.
So this is in
and
Jersey?
Let's also, just in Jersey, yeah. And take out Pine Valley, too, because that's very rare that anybody getting the invite there.
We got it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Public-wise, I would go – I spend a lot of time at the Jersey Shore in the summer, and whenever I'm down there, I always play Twisted Dune, which is just south of AC. It's like a solid spot. If you play in the afternoon, you can get a solid deal. They always keep
a great track.
Good shape.
Yeah,
great track.
So much fun. I think they have a sectional high school tournament there. But one of my favorites,
Central Jersey Group 2.
There you go. There you go. But it's so fun. Super fun place. If you bring a few buddies out there, you'll never not have a good time. And then private, my favorite course in Jersey other than Pine Valley is Baltusrol. That's kind of in that same category of tough to get out. But Baltie's incredible. Morris County is super good. We played a little bit of high school golf there, and I was fortunate to know a couple kids who were members, so I've played there a few times. And we actually had the New Jersey Junior there one year. But that place is super fun. A good variety of short holes that you can make a lot of birdies, and then a few tough holes as well. So those are definitely two.
The upper or the lower?
I always go lower. I like the upper a lot, but at the end of the day, you got to pick the championship course. I think I would rather probably play lower every day, which is, I think, the opposite of what most people say.
Mm-hmm.
But that finishing stretch with the 2 par 5s and that par 3, the 4th hole with the water, it's so much fun. The vibes I get at Balti are like nowhere else.
You're going to ruin it. We've never played the lower. I don't want to get the
Well, you
secrets
guys-
out.
Lower. I've never played. I
guys-
never stepped on ground there.
So
It's incredible. The day that you guys get out there, you're gonna love it.
So Cole, obviously you're super competitive golfer that plays at a really high level, and I think that golfers are rather quirky by nature and kind of have our own superstitions or habits or whatever you want to call them. What are some things that you do going into a competition, whether it's on the practice range, the putting green, during the round, just things that you need to have to kind of keep you in balance? Like what are some quirks, so to speak, that you have?
I would say I used to be way more superstitious. Like when I first was getting into tournament golf, everything had to be a certain way. I had to tie one shoe correctly. If they weren't the right tightness, I had to redo it. I had to eat the same food, pull out the same club. Over the years, I've just kind of given up on all that. And I would say it's more just routines now and not superstitions. So I'll always do the same stretching stuff before the round, preferably in the clubhouse, so I can kind of get the feels of the place and settle into the day. And then I always use the same ball marker. I will say that. I have a Ryder Cup ball marker. My dad went to the Ryder Cup at Hazeltine a few years ago, and he got me a ball marker when he went. So that's my go-to. But other than that, it's just the routines. Doing the stretching, I'll use the same clubs on the range every day and pretty much the same putting drills to warm up for my rounds. But it got to a certain point where I was so mental about it that I was like, you know what, I gotta just spend a day not doing any of this and see what happens. And I think I did that and played pretty well. So I was like, all right, I just got to do this for a living. But I think we all have our superstitions as golfers. So the ball marker, that's always one. But that's probably it.
Okay. I have a Ryder Cup ball mark as well that I used from Medina, but yeah, it's
a good spot.
in the back of my divot tool. Yeah, very cool. Again, I think I know the answer because I know where Chatham is located in the state. But we're a New Jersey podcast that, we're talking golf, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the greatest debate in New Jersey history. The name of
I know where this is going.
the name of a particular breakfast meat.
Yeah.
What are you calling
Taylor
that?
ham.
Oh.
Taylor ham.
We had such a great interview.
Yeah, I apologize.
This is going to see
It's
the
Taylor
cutting
ham.
room floor.
There's no debate here. It's Taylor ham. I won't go to my deathbed debating this because I grew up eating more bacon, egg, and cheeses and sausage, egg, and cheeses than Taylor ham or pork roll. But yeah, North Jersey, we always go Taylor ham.
Yeah. I knew Chatham is right in the heart of that Taylor ham. You're not. There's no gray area there. So like we were talking about, like we've kind of figured it out that it's kind of right at the Driscoll Bridge, maybe a little bit more because you got Rutgers is over the Driscoll Bridge. So like you have people there that are calling it pork roll. But kind of as you get into like Westfield, it's a little grayer, but a little bit north of that, it's solidly Taylor ham.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like you guys are pork roll guys.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
Through and through.
Yeah.
That's fair. I respect it. To each their own.
It's crazy.
doubt.
It's crazy how the state is broken up like that. It's just so wild.
I know. It's funny for sure.
But Cole, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you jumping on. You were incredible. So again, we talked about it before. Charismatic, open. Again, you're very, very grounded in who you are, and that's really refreshing to see. So, best of luck this summer out in Colorado, and your golf season coming up at Richmond.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much for having me on, and hopefully talk to you guys again in the future.
100%. You come on
Look for
whenever you
us.
want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Take
Take
care.
All right, Cole. See you, pal.
All right.